Well, my name is Mark Sanders. I'm with WaterSaver Technologies, Sloan Valve Company. As a little disclaimer, the presentation is really about emerging technologies, and some of the things that are out there right now. It's based upon a lot of the data I'm going to share you, and some of the things I'm going to talk about based upon what we had to do from our product. Our product's called the AQUS. Takes the water from bathroom sinks and uses it to flush toilets. So some of the stuff I'm going to tell you are things that we had to do to make this make our system work, but it's also applicable to other systems that are available. First definition, I'm going to run through these pretty quickly because I don't want to run out of time. Obviously, everybody is pretty clear, and we went over these about 3 or 4 times yesterday. But definitions of water, potable water, obviously, and gray water has multiple definitions. I think that's an issue that's going to ultimately have to be dealt with. What really is gray water? Reclaimed water is another one that we have to talk about, and then black water. Those are important definitions for our discussion today because of what we had to go through and what we will go through as far as using the gray water, and then secondarily because there's a lot of new regulations. Gray water, UPC, obviously is it's a much broader definition, but even IPC really defines gray water more about where it comes from than what it really looks like and what's in it. Gray water is basically any water, wastewater that comes from, untreated water that comes from bathroom sinks, showers, laundries, that kind of thing. It does not include wastewater from kitchen sinks, dishwashers, and toilets because that's black water, obviously has a lot higher organic content and must be treated by some type of outside agency. We also wanted to know, from our point of view, our product, want to know what gray water looks like, physically from what's in the water to also what the appearance of the water is. And it was important to us because of how we're going to treat it and then what we need to do to filter it as well. And so how did we determine what that was? We did several tests, but one of which was a 20 household test that we conducted over a 24-hour period. We literally just collected the wastewater from bathroom sinks in 20 different households, households that had babies, households that were senior adults, and just various groups in the middle, and then had those independently tested for bacterial and pathogens as well as particulate. We looked at the levels of BOD, bacterial oxygen demand, to determine what was in there and what you had to do to treat it. We also looked to see if there were any fecal coliforms in the water and if there was any E. coli and what you had to do those. What I'll tell you, a little jump ahead, we obviously chose to use a chlorine-based product, but there are several other options as well. We also looked at particulate. We knew that particulate that was smaller than 80 to 100 microns, you can't see it through the naked eye anyway. I mean, it's too small to be visually seen. So from our standpoint, we were only worried about things that were in the large particulate that were in excess of those numbers because those were things we had to figure a way to screen out and clean up from that standpoint. What we discovered, obviously, was that the majority of the particulate was in the water was very small whiskers, small flakes of makeup, those kind of things that you wouldn't see would they make it migrate into the toilet bowl. And then we looked at there was other things in the water like some pieces of fuzz and things those are pieces of things we had to get out. And so what we ended up doing, and I'll show you here in a minute, we actually use a coarse filter to catch large particulate like long strands of hair, big chunks of toothpaste, things again that would make the water look bad were it to migrate into your toilet bowl. We also wanted to take a look at the pH level of the water. For instance, people clean their bathrooms and they use different types of cleaning materials that have fairly different levels of alkaline and pH and acid in them. Everything from Drano, Simple Green, different types of products. Drano obviously is the most toxic. If you were to take a spoonful of Drano and eat it, you wouldn't have a throat by the time it hit your stomach. It would all be rotted out and gone. So we had to. One of the things we were concerned about is what happens if somebody's cleaning their bathroom sink and they rinse the sponge out in the sink, and that water then migrates over to the toilet. What is that water going to look like, and is it going to be a health hazard? So what we did was we took fairly large, significant doses of these 10 products that you could find just about any kind of home supply, grocery store, and tested them to see what the level of water would be. And what we discovered was there wasn't even anything, including Drano, which was obviously the highest one, that would be a health hazard at all. At some of the highest levels, if you get into the range of 10 or 11, you're starting to get things that if the water touched your skin, had direct contact, would be an irritant to your skin. But once it gets over 12, 13 points on a factor, it's very harmful. So we were very confident that the water, unless somebody ate the Drano, it wasn't going to be harmful. So we looked at treatment alternatives. Obviously, filtration is about what you're going to use the water for. In our case, we're going to use it for flushing toilets. So we were only concerned about, again, getting the water to a place where the level of particulate was in the water wasn't going to be harmful, and so we filtered it down to about 80 microns. We also looked at a wide range of disinfection types of alternatives. We looked at ozone, we looked at chlorine, we looked at some green products, and that's, so let's talk about those real brief. We looked at UV as well. We looked at ozone. Is one that I know is being used pretty regularly. It's being used pretty effectively in large systems. A lot of water, Evian types of bottled water uses ozone very effectively. But for us, in our small scale type system, it was just too costly to make the product there. As was radiation, or UV. UV is another effective thing where you just basically take mercury and evaporate it through an electrical charge. That evaporated mercury creates radiation, which then, if you irradiate the water, it kills the DNA of the atoms or whatever kind of bacteria, bugs might be in the water, and they can't replicate themselves. But again, from our standpoint, our price point, they were not something that we could do. So we got down to chlorine. Chlorine bromine is obviously a very prevalent type of disinfection that's in the world, found just about anywhere. You can do a lot of stuff with it. It can come in a liquid form. It can come in a tabletized form. It's fairly stable as far as how you use it. So we elected to use chlorine, and what we do is we actually put a standard type chlorine tablet that you can buy off the shelf. That's normally used to drop in the back of your toilet and sit submerged and chlorinate the water. We actually take that same tablet and put it in a tablet dispenser where it stays dry and only picks up chlorination when water and activities occur in the bathroom sink. That way we don't hyperchlorinate the water, plus we're able to make the tablets last for a year. And so our maintenance is only an annual maintenance.